Good morning, everybody. Curry and Chips Mining here with another video on my latest obsession. And you guys, if you're starting to follow my channel, will realize I do go off on tangents and I do hyper obsess over things. It's just me. You'll have to get used to it. But amongst all of my talking complete rubbish, I'm sure there is some key information that will at least ignite some thought-provoking things within you guys. And my most recent obsession has been power. And power is one of those things which is a pain in the bum for all of us crypto miners, whether you're doing it at home, whether you're hosting it on an off-site hosting facility. Power is ultimately what will kill and eat your profits. The less power that you have to pay for, or the better power rate that you have to pay for, then the more profitable your miners will be. Now, I recently moved house, and it has meant that a lot of my mining equipment is off because I used to have a large solar installation at my previous property. I don't have that here. I've got a load of building work going on, and I'll eventually get solars installed. But what it has done is it's let me give me time, shall we say, to look into alternative options and actually what are the best things to do to reduce your power bill to increase your mining profits. Now, I've seen lots of other videos. Seb's uploaded one recently, which is talking about making sure the efficiency of your power supplies on your GPU hardware is the best it can be. I completely agree with him. Absolutely. But best case, that's like what, a 10% increase on a power supply, which is maybe 100 watts, which is a 10-watt saving. And I don't mean to be rude, but who really gives a shit about that? Unless you've got like dozens and dozens of rigs, that isn't going to make an enormous difference. It's going to make a difference, but not a huge difference. So I don't mean to be rude to him because I think he's a brilliant YouTuber and I have learned so much from him. But I'm just saying, like, if you suddenly go out and shell, I don't know, let's say you've got 10 GPU rigs and you suddenly go out and buy 10 amazing 80 plus rated, highly efficient power supplies at about £80 each. That's £800 on power supplies. And there's got to be better ways of saving money. And I think, with my calculations, I think I've found it. But I guarantee you that there's going to be some comments and stuff on this video. And I'm not an expert in what I'm about to talk about here, guys. I've done a lot of research, but I'm sure I've made mistakes, but I'm going to talk you through it. So, you're getting into crypto mining or you're an existing crypto miner and you want to save on your power bill. What do you do? Well, one option, which is on this screen, I've just picked this as a supplier. I don't use Bitcoin. I picked it, if I'm honest, because I think it's a nice looking website. Look at this video. I mean, that's insane. Look at those ASICs. If you're not familiar with the term, a hosting solution or a hosting provider is ultimately a off-site, so somewhere else other than your house, location where you can send your crypto mining hardware. They then plug it into a facility like the one that we're seeing on screen, which will be air conditioned, it'll have decent airflow, the guys know what they're doing, and they will charge you a lower power fee per kilowatt than what you pay at your residential address, or at least they should do, otherwise it's pointless doing it. So to give you an example, I actually do use a hosting facility. I use Ice River's hosting facility, and I've got two KS3Ms sitting with Ice River, and you can see here their service is great. I can log in, I can see a hash rate chart. It looks very much like the Ice River main interface. Is that the right word? I don't even know if that's the right word. Uh, admin panel, the admin panel that you get on KSO miners. It's very much inspired by that, but it tells you the hash rate, the live hash rate of your miners you have with them. You can see I had a bit of a dip yesterday. That turned out because my miners were actually on a pool that it doesn't recognize. They were mining, but obviously it wasn't picking it up. So I'm just going to put my phone on silent. It's pinging away in the background. So with Ice River Hosting, for example, I pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, is that good? Is that bad? Well, for me, it's amazing because in the UK, last year we were paying as much as 28p per hour per kilowatt, which is probably about 35 cents, which would absolutely kill most of my listeners and audience, particularly people in the US. If you were to say your power bill has gone up to 35 cents per kilowatt, You just turn mining hardware off, which is why mining in the UK is really difficult and is a struggle. And there's not many of us that actually do it, or certainly not many of us that stream. I'm obviously a new streamer, I'm a new channel, and I'm just putting out some of the struggles that we have here in the UK. But it's now gone down to about 23p a kilowatt. Still outrageous. I think your going rate in the US is about 10 cents. And I know some other places in Europe pay very similar to price to us as well. Mining in Europe is expensive. But if you can find a decent hosting facility that charges you 12, 10, 8 cents per kilowatt, it instantly means that your miners are more profitable. There are some challenges though, particularly if you're getting into mining. Challenge number one is the physical miner isn't where you are. So if there's any problems with it, you are trusting the hosting facility to help you. So do your research, make sure you look at reviews, make sure you look at forums, make sure you chat on Discord and find out that the people that you're going to choose have got a good reputation. So that's the first thing, because if you're with a dodgy hosting facility that just aren't getting back to you, you might have downtime where your hash rate is off and you just can't do anything. If you're in the UK and your miner's in the US and the guys there aren't speaking to you, you're offline. Plus, your expensive hardware is with them, so you've got to trust them. Second thing is, most mining facilities will charge you either an admin fee to set it up or a hosting fee for the actual physical miner, as well as your power bill. So that also is going to eat off your profitability. So you obviously take that into any calculations. And the final thing is, most hosting facilities give you the ability to buy the miner from them, because why wouldn't they want to do that? Because they've already got the miners plugged in already. They can get them online quicker. These are the incentives that they throw you. But of course, they're going to apply a margin to the cost of that miner than you could probably get from reputable resellers. So another slight curveball. And the final one is, if you're a GPU miner, most hosting facilities do not deal with GPUs. If they do, they certainly won't accept open frame, standard kind of home miner GPU rigs. You're going to need to either send them your graphics cards and they will put them into their own hardware like Octaminer cases or server cases, or you're going to need to send them equivalent of server casing mining rigs, because they're better on calling, they're less likely to get damaged. And I don't blame the hosting facilities, to be honest. I think open frame rigs, in my experience, are inherently more, I don't know, more finicky, more delicate. And if you're going to ship these things, they're going to have to either rebuild the rig, which has lots of moving parts like risers and little things like that. Whereas server rigs, Octaminer rigs, I just think are more reliable. But of course, they're more expensive. So that is a quick overview of hosting. The other option is you speak to your utility company. And in the UK, and I'm sure it's the case in the US and certainly in Europe, is many utility providers are now offering EV charging tariffs. And EV charging tariffs are amazing for crypto miners. Basically, an EV charging tariff is designed to give the customer, i.e., us, a discounted power rate for an off-peak time period. And it's designed so that you ultimately would have your EV. So, Tesla owners out there, electric vehicle owners, and there's so many EVs coming out now, can basically set a timer on their charger, on their driveway, at their property to charge their vehicle on those hours and receive a discounted rate. Well, of course, as crypto miners, we like to have our hardware running 24/7. So even if you flicked to one of those EV charging tariffs, even if you didn't even own an EV or a charger, you're still benefiting from a time period of discounted power rate. So it's an absolute no-brainer to do it. And I give you a couple of examples here in the UK. So Octopus Energy, they're a massive energy provider. They actually have a really good reputation. They offer an EV tariff which is called Octopus Go. And if I can find it here, I personally hate utility providers' websites. They're a nightmare. Octopus Go, here we go. There you go. So Octopus Go offer cheap energy between 12:30 at night, so midnight, half past midnight, till 5:30 in the morning. So that gives you that 5-hour window of a lower tariff. Now, I happen to know that particular tariff is 8 pence per kilowatt for those 5 hours versus Octopus's normal tariff, which is actually 28 pence per kilowatt. So that's an insane saving. 20p per kilowatt off for that 5 hours. Now, what you could do is you could simply just run your mining hardware for 5 hours a day if you were on that tariff. You could just put plug-in timers on your GPU rigs, your ASICs, and just have them running 5 hours a day at 8p per kilowatt, and they've got so much higher chance of being profitable. The other thing that you could do is you could go on this tariff, which is from E.ON. E.ON offer a very, very similar thing, but they give you 2 hours more. They're midnight till 7 a.m. and they're 1.1 pence cheaper. So 6.9 kilowatt, a pence per kilowatt between 12 a.m. and 7 a.m. every day of the week, which is amazing. So you could run your miners for 7 hours a day. Obviously, we don't want to do that. We want to run our miners for 24 hours a day. But I'm just telling you, you could literally shave a huge percentage off your electricity bill. Like 2/3 of it could just go by switching to one of these tariffs. And the most amazing thing about these tariffs is the majority of them aren't even intelligent enough to connect to the EV charger. So you literally just tell your utility provider, I have an EV, this is my car, and this is my charger model. They cannot check it, they do not know, and they just say, yep, no problem. There you go, Curry. You're on that tariff. So it's an absolute no-brainer. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Obviously, check your utility provider to make sure they don't lock you into higher other rates during the other, 19 hours or whatever hours per day. And that's something you should do. But the next thing that I looked at, in case you didn't know about this one, is solar panels. Now, I had solars. They would save me a fortune. And I obviously need to get solar installed at my new property. So I have done a huge amount of research, spoken to so many companies, battered people down on prices, and I put together this spreadsheet. And I'm going to talk you through this spreadsheet the best I can. And I hope I've made no calculation errors, but I'm going to go through it. And you can see here that on a standard energy tariff, it's talking about how many hours per day, how many kilowatts. And I base this entire test on 2 kilowatts, so 2,000 watts of mining hardware. And I've even given some examples down at the bottom of the kind of equipment that you could run with 2,000 watts, okay? And I could have done this endlessly, but I honestly could not be asked. And no offense, but I just couldn't be bothered. This list could go on and on. I could have had KSO Ultras. I could have had, I don't know, low power cards like 6600 XTs. I could have just gone on and on and on. But I basically picked 3 different options. And the 3 different options are 16 RTX 3070s, which 2 rigs of 8. You can get RTX 3070s on the used market with warranty for about £235 in the UK. I don't know how much they sell for in the US, but they're amazing mining cards. They always have been. I see them being great mining cards for at least the next couple of years. They have good resale value because they are also brilliant gaming graphics cards. As long as you look after them, they're a low risk graphics card. They're also GPU miners, so they're incredibly flexible. You can mine so many different algos on them. You can even go after ASIC only algos by using stuff like NiceHash if in the US, or Unmineable in the UK, or if you use a VPN in the UK, you can still use NiceHash, I believe. So they're one scenario. So effectively, 2 rigs of 8 RTX 3070s with your GPUs, your power frames, everything's going to cost you about $4,000. I've then gone for the complete opposite, which is a highly efficient, very expensive, big chunky Jasminer X16P, not the Q, the P, which is a single huge hash rate power. It mines Ethereum Classic or things on the Ethereum blockchain. It's going to cost you over £6,000, but it's going to use 1900 watts. So both of those examples will bring us under 2000 watts. RTX 3070 absolutely could use more than 2000 watts if you mine something on, say, Kapow. But in this example, I've actually looked at Zealous because it's the most efficient for revenue as of today's date. And then finally, this is a proper random one, but because I know there's just so many Casper miners coming out. KS5s, KS5Ls, I don't even know. All I know is in 4 or 5 months, my profitability has literally halved because of how busy the network's got and the emission schedule. Casper miners are so profitable, but they are so risky. But I have actually put 3. It's not 3, it's 2. Let me just change that. See, I thought I might have made a mistake. It's 2 KS1s which I don't even make anymore, but you can get KS1s on the used market for about £900. You can easily overclock them to 1.6 terahash. You can get the firmware free of charge. You just do a little Google search, you'll find it on GitHub, etc. And it even uses the original power supply because it's the same power supply that goes on the KS2. And if you do that, you're getting a 60% increase on your KS1. You're using obviously more power, but roughly 2 overclocked KS1s will cost you £1,800 and use about 1700 watts. So that's the scenario of the mining hardware. So how much does it cost to run that in the UK? And obviously this is quite easy for people in the US and other countries of Europe to give you an idea. Well, if you're on a standard tariff, that Eon Next Drive tariff, which is the tariff which gives you 7 pence per kilowatt for those hours per day, I think 7 hours a day. If you just have a normal tariff, which is 23 pence per kilowatt, or 22 pence per kilowatt, it's the cheapest I can find actually, 22 pence per kilowatt. That's going to cost you for 2 kilowatts of power running 24 hours a day, £10.56 in electricity. And that instantly shows you that on those three scenarios, none of them you're going to break even. You're running at a loss on all of them. The GPU rigs, you're making a loss of about, well, over £5 a day. You're losing money. And in that scenario, much as I love crypto mining, if you're paying out on your power, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Because even if you pick a crypto that pumps and it's an absolute result, and of course you've got value in the mining hardware that you've bought, particularly if it's an RTX 3070, but if you're going to lose £5 a day, you might as well just buy £5 a day's worth of crypto and ignore the headache. Because it just, to me, it makes more sense. And I'm sure, and I'm doing this to be thought provoking, guys. I'd love your feedback on that. You might completely disagree, but in that scenario, I believe you'd be better off just buying £5 a day's worth of crypto. It's a pain in the arse. Maybe just save up the £5 a day and once a week buy the crypto, whatever. The next option, which is obviously Jazz Miners, again, you're running at a loss, and then the KS1s, even though they're a bargain, even though you've overclocked them, you're still running at a loss. So that shows you that if you were to just use your existing infrastructure, just plug some miners in the UK, go on the best energy rate tariff I can find, which is 22p a kilowatt, you're not going to make any money, and you're not going to cover the cost of the hardware. So is it pointless? Well, there's loads of arguments. I'm not going to go into it to too much details because you could obviously make crypto and then resell the hardware, whatever. So that's option one. I don't think it's a good idea. Option two is to use the energy EV charging tariff, which means for 7 hours a day, you're paying a lower power rate. What does that make a difference to? Well, it saves you £2 off your power bill by doing nothing. The only thing you've got to do is get a smart meter installed by the energy company. Costs you nothing. Personally, think they're a great idea anyway because it tells you what energy you're using. It means if you're lazy like me and you forget to do manual tariff meter readings, it just does them automatically. So to me, that's an absolute no-brainer. And I hope from this video, and I know I ramble on, I hope if you take one thing, that's something you should do. If you just change your energy tariff. Even if you don't even do crypto mining at home, set your washing machine and tumble dryer to go on a timer and come on those hours. You'll save come on at those hours. You'll save a huge amount of money. But that would save me £2 a day by making that simple change, which actually means the KS1s would be profitable, which is great. Then I go into something a little bit more complicated, which is two options. Option one is having a solar system installed. So solar panels on your roof or in your garden or whatever, with a battery, and this is an off-grid system, so you've got a battery, an inverter, and solar panels. And then the other option is no solar panels, just batteries and an inverter, which basically means you're effectively charging those batteries off mains power. But of course, you can charge those batteries off mains power when it's on the lower tariff. So let's just run through the scenarios. Now, I realize the solar one is incredibly optimistic. So I've managed to find a 15 panel system, 400 watts per panel, which is a 6 kilowatt total system with a 10 kilowatt battery, including full installation, a 25-year warranty for £5,500. Now, if you start looking into solar panels in the UK and you start seeing ads for government grants and stuff, I'll tell you now, it's just bollocks. You don't get them unless you're on income support, or if you are an OAP, you are not going to get a government grant. The only thing that happens is you currently save on the VAT, which is 20% tax. This price here is including that saving. So £5,500 for a 6 kilowatt system. 6 kilowatt system. Now that means that while my miners are running, and let's say they're running at 1700 watts, that means the remaining power is being produced, is going into the 10 kilowatt battery. And this all has so many variables. It depends on how much sunlight we get, what time of year it is. But I'm just to keep things incredibly simple, and I realize it isn't this simple. I've basically put, let's just imagine, let's be really optimistic, that system will run that mining hardware free of charge. Okay, you're not going to utilize any of that power that you're storing on anything else in your property. You're literally going to put it on running those 2 RTX rigs or that Jasminer or whatever. And it may not be that simple. The chances are you may actually need some more power or you might need another battery that's not 10 kilowatts. You might need 15 kilowatts worth of batteries. But let's say it ran everything, okay? And I want people to look at this and go, no way, Curry, it just wouldn't. You're going to need more panels, whatever. But ultimately, you could easily add on more panels. You could get a better inverter. This price would go up, but yeah, there are options. And then the final option, which is the batteries inverters. So you've got no solar panels, you've got no scaffolding, you've got nothing on your house. And I put this option in there because, look, there's people out there that don't have a roof or a garden, and they might live in a flat, or if you're in the US, a condominium. I think that's what you call them. I don't know what that accent was. Is that more New York? I don't know. And in this example, and this is prices installed, guys, these are real prices. I can get 40 kilowatts worth of battery power. So that's 2 20 kilowatt batteries, an 8 kilowatt inverter installed. So I've got 40 kilowatts worth of power that I can back up. And I can obviously build that power up and charge it at the discounted rate of 7p per kilowatt for that 7-hour window on that E.ON NextDrive tariff, which means when I'm running my crypto mining farm during the day, I'm not going to use my normal plug in the wall tariff. I'm going to use the battery power, which I've only paid 7p a kilowatt to charge my batteries rather than 22p a kilowatt. So there's some options you should definitely consider, but obviously you've got to shell out $5,500 or $7,500 to do it. Is it worthwhile? Absolutely, it's worthwhile. The ROI on this is amazing. Okay, so look at this. This is how many days or years it will take to pay back that hardware. So RTX 3070s, if you were paying 0 power and you just mined at the current rate of Zealous, which would make you £4.77 worth of crypto a day. Obviously, we hope that goes up and we hope that you hold it and we hope it goes up in value. It would take you 838 days to pay back £4,000. Same sums here on the Jasminer, same sums here on the KS1. I mean, the KS1's absolutely amazing if you're not paying for power. 200 days, you've paid for them, okay? However, if you start then throwing in solar, you start throwing in solar, it makes a big difference to your ROI. You've got to spend more money up front, right? You've got to do it. But you're not paying for that £10.56 power bill per day. It's gone. So all of a sudden you're making £17.60 a day, or you're making £14.77 a day, or £19 a day. In which case, believe it or not, if you were to pull together all that money, and I'll show you the formula here, it's dead simple. It's literally £5,500 plus £4,000 divided by the sum of £10.56, which is your normal power bill, and the money that you make from the mining revenue. It would take 619 days to make back your money on your mining hardware and your solar panels that you put in. Okay, so that's less than 2 years, and then you've got the benefit of solar panels on your house, which if you stop mining in the future, you're going to get cheaper power bills and everything. Plus, it's going to increase the value of your home, all the benefits. Plus, you're creating sustainable energy. So there's another big perk. And to me, that is a no-brainer. Like, that should be done. That's 1.7 years to make that money back. Okay. Yes, that's assuming that your value of your crypto doesn't go up or whatever. But yeah, I mean, to me, I couldn't believe those figures. And I'm still sitting here now and thinking, have I made a calculation error? And maybe I have. And if I have, guys, please point it out. And it's the same again with everything else. You know, Jasminers, $6,500 almost for the Jasminer itself, plus $5,500 for the solar panels and the battery. 733 days. That's 2 years. That's it. 2 years you own a Jasminer X16P, or you've covered the cost of it, and a 6 kilowatt solar system, which is a 25-year warranty, and a 10 kilowatt battery. I mean, crypto mining is amazing if you do this, assuming you can afford to shell out £11,500. And then the final one, KS1s, a year, 1 year. Obviously, there's loads of variables, assuming, your earnings on Casper's going to go down. Of course it is. The network's going to get busier. That might be £5 in 3 months rather than £9. But still, as of today's date, that's the calculations. And then even the battery's quite interesting. So, no solar panels, no sustainable energy. Well, kind of. You're charging your batteries off sustainable energy that is provided to you by the um, utility provider, Octopus Energy or Eon or whatever. Still 2 years, just over 2 years. Again, just over 1 year. So look, guys, I hope I haven't made some calculation errors on this. I really don't think I have. I think I've gone through it in a fine detail. But I want your feedback. I know my tangents sometimes could be rubbish. I think this one could actually be helpful. Do you have solar panels? Do you think they're worthwhile? Has this actually kind of given you some idea and thought, you know what? That's actually a great idea, Curry. I could use this at my house. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I really appreciate you watching this video, guys. As I said, I'm a brand new channel. I am a UK crypto miner. There isn't that many of us. Yeti obviously is the OG. He's British. Obviously, the man's a legend. I'm not saying I'm going to ever get to that level. I'm not. He's way cleverer than me. I'm just a home miner. But I just like to talk about these kind of things. A like and a subscribe would be helpful. Comments, positive or negative, are appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Cheers. Bye.